I live in northern Saltivka, the most affected area. There is constant shelling night and day. I leaped at the opportunity to go. Joy left my life. There is not my house anymore. Bombs, shells and all these. I lost my sleep and peace. I'm constantly crying. I left occupied Berdyansk in the refrigerator after a month of occupation. My mother and the family of my brother still stay there. My brother is in the Ukrainian armed forces. 4 out of 5 of our native men are at the front right now. Because of what was happening inside, I started falling on the street. A missile blew up near the house. No money. I was afraid for my heart. I had to organize a big volunteer center. I have been living and helping there for almost the whole year. It seemed that there were two me's. I was always useful, but coming home I disappeared. I was in something like a cocoon. I couldn't speak. My husband fell ill with oncology, and it was the 4th stage at once. He died. I had been living for 8 months under occupation. We were also volunteering and helping. They started taking us to the basement. My manager was already taken. We have been under constant shelling for a year and a half. We got tired. I underwent 13 surgeries. I didn't walk. I had pressure ulcers. I was a living dead. My son was killed. I no longer know how to live. I gave birth to a child after shelling, who lived 2 hours. We didn't have doctors. We buried the same day my brother and my sister and my daughter. I don't know what is sleep.
How many stories like this has our country experienced? How much pain and woe are Ukrainians experiencing? How many tragedies are there on this earth? But people exhibit extraordinary power and strength in the fight for the future. It doesn't matter whether you're strong or weak, kind or evil, wise or frivolous. If you are in trouble, it is overimportant to believe there is a way out.
Using the knowledge of the Murray method and our 18 years of experience in working with traumatized people together with the USA organization The Murray Method, we developed the program of the therapy of the consequences of war traumas based on the charitable organization Vyhyd. Murray Method was created to help and support people who experience trauma and abuse. Marilyn Murray from Arizona, the USA, and the author of the theory that explains the mechanism of the way a person experiences a traumatic event. She has helped many people to restore after negative traumatic experiences, including the war. It is a wonderful example of integration of the personal traumatic experience into the theory and practice of effective help to many people. As a result of her recovery, she acquired the ability to be aware and understand the results of psychological traumas. A high percentage of Ukrainians, both here in Ukraine and those who have immigrated, have numerous mental and emotional health problems. This will be an ongoing issue for many years, even after the war is over.
In Ukraine, private psychologists, NGOs, and state institutions provide psychological assistance for people who suffered because of the war, but it isn't enough. There are a lot of people who need help and rehabilitation.
The charitable organization Vyhyd has 18 years of experience in providing psychological help to individuals who suffered because of traumatic events.
People who lost their clothes and native people, places of residence and pets were under occupation, infiltration camps, under missile attacks and aviation shelling, lost their work and were forcefully displaced, come to our center. We also work for volunteers who acquired the syndrome of emotional burnout in their volunteer activities. We also provide psychological support for relatives of soldiers who constantly live in fear and worry about their loved ones.
The specialists of the center have sufficient qualifications and experience, specifically in the sphere of work with different traumas.
Our team consists of 20 people. All of them are motivated to help people. 5 of them are internally displaced persons who know the tragedy of war from the source. The center is situated in the picturesque vicinity of Poltava. The house has 4 floors. The territory of 670 square meters is located on the Vorskla riverbank close to the Pine Wood. There is a soccer and volleyball fields in the territory, delicious food, psychological classes, physical activity, friendly and warm atmosphere that fills this place help participants of the program to recover emotionally and physically. Our center provides free exclusive help for people affected by the war. After studying the experience of working with people who had difficult special circumstances, we see the need for full immersion in the rehabilitation program after PTSD on full-day stay with accommodation and food in our center. Our center is equipped with everything necessary for the comfortable stay of 25 participants at once. Every month, 2 groups of people complete 2-week rehabilitation, so we cover 50 persons. 500 persons have already completed psychological rehabilitation since the beginning of 2023.
Around 150 people get individual help online or offline, not within inpatient rehabilitation. Every month, around 5,000 new people visit our social media resources, where we post useful information for those who cannot attend our center for one reason or another or attend individual psychological consultations.
Thanks to sponsors, they could restore their mental health. Everything is super, everything is wonderful, it is just a fairy tale. Everything was just awesome. The main donor of the project is the German organization Humanitarian. Other partners are the Foundation of Marilyn Murray, Health Restoration International Ltd., Outpost Centers International, and Poltava City Council.
Our work is based on Murray method.
Marilyn Murray was born in 1936 in the USA in a family of workers. In 1944, at age 8, Marilyn was abused by a group of soldiers and she told no one. Unprocessed trauma started the destructive process. When Marilyn turned 44, her mind and physical health were in a very sad and neglected state because of trauma. The consequences of trauma at the age of 44 led her body and mind to exhaustion, and she had already to die. But thanks to her friend, Marilyn went to a rehabilitation center in 1980. The psychotherapeutic program of the center helped her to understand her life and recover. Marilyn's therapist was Dr. Peter Danilchuk, and his parents were from Ukraine. When Marilyn recovered, with the help of Dr. Danilchuk, she entered the university to study to become a psychologist. During the preparation for her Master's work, Marilyn Murray developed the special program named Becoming a Healthy Balanced Person with the help of a therapy of results of trauma, abuse, and deprivation with the Murray method. She taught that to postgraduate students at Ottawa University in Phoenix, Arizona, USA.
With the help of private practice, Marilyn Murray helped more than 10,000 people who suffered from trauma. She prepared several hundred of trainers in the Murray method from the circle of psychologists from 45 countries of the world. There are very honored and famous people among her clients. For instance, the legend of boxing, champion of the world, Mike Tyson devoted many pages of his book, The Undisputed Truth, to his time with Marilyn. Mike Tyson doesn't just call her a good psychotherapist who helped him, but calls her a mom. Marilyn Murray suffered from the Second World War and has an example of Ukrainians who positively influenced her life. She is a big friend of Ukraine and a person who doesn't just theoretically know how to rehabilitate people from the effects of trauma, but she knows herself what trauma is and how to recover from the effects of trauma. We have permission from the author of the Murray Method to teach her method to persons who suffered from the war and to psychologists who work or plan to work with such people.
By this time, more than 50 projects have been implemented. One of them is the rehabilitation program that deals with acute combat stress.
They bombarded us mercilessly and took us to the basements. A lot of people disappeared. I wake up to wait for the explosion, but there is no explosion. I go to the balcony, telegram, and there is no explosion, and I'm waiting. I don't know why I'm waiting for that. I had my own wonderful house, but a shell hit it. Then Kadyrovцы went to the flats. There was no light, water, gas. They were shooting day and night. Everything was on fire, reaching the sky. 4 people were killed in my side. It was scary.
We work with people suffering from the war in Ukraine. The program is designed for 2 weeks. We use the Murray method in our work. Murray method was created to help people who experience traumas and abuse. The goal of the therapy, according to Murray method, is becoming a harmonious personality balanced in 5 spheres of life: physical, emotional, intellectual, social, and spiritual. This method is directed on working out of psychological traumas of different levels of severity. It covers almost all the sides of the work with personality, from inner worries to the interaction with other people.
Effective work with trauma demands a complex approach, starting with the work with physical symptoms and finishing on the sphere of values and senses of a person. Program of trauma therapy based on the Murray method proved its effectiveness in the work with people who suffered from war trauma and domestic and gender-based violence, studying traumatic experiences, war in particular, and post-traumatic stress states. Let us understand people who stay in long-term traumatization better. Equipped with knowledge, people traumatized by the war are healed on a deeper level. The flexibility of the brain gives a lot of ways for its immune rehabilitation. The brain has the opportunity to heal itself. Psychological traumatized person can cure old injuries and become the person he or she could be if the trauma hadn't happened. Peace and prosperity. Yes.
So, our brain can create new synaptic connections between nerve cells, called synaptogenesis. It gives the possibility to offer new pathways of reactions and thinking, reconnect disconnected brain areas, and process stress reactions in a way that wouldn't be perceived as total and irreparable. That's why there is an inner capacity for improving health, which in turn is fundamental to becoming a healthy, balanced person. It means becoming balanced physically, emotionally, cognitively, socially, and spiritually. By the Murray method, the person who's experienced trauma and hasn't processed it may have 5 groups of dysfunctions. They are different forms of addictions, codependency, the state of a victim, manifestations of narcissistic traits, active and passive aggression. They are obstacles on the way to the fulfilling life of people suffering from trauma and the subject of work in the rehabilitation program. Rehabilitation program for people traumatized by the war, according to the Murray method, reveals the process of the consequences of trauma, neglect, abuse on the distortion of mental perception and emotional reaction of a person that reflects on their health and behavior. The result of the Murray method rehab program is the formation of a healthy, balanced person due to clear and full explanation of the results of pain produced during trauma, development of new behavioral models in the present and future. The therapeutic approach of Marilyn Murray is based on a sufficiently deep immersion into the pool of pain and its emptying. Thanks to a clear structured program, we analyze traumatic experiences, verbalize painful emotions, find and decrease the role of defense mechanisms, find and develop individual talents, and form a healthy, balanced person. Such person is capable of having and showing empathy, defending themselves without harming others, enjoying life, being useful to society. All this process of rehabilitation and formation of a healthy, balanced person in our center is going on in the atmosphere of support and love.
Your work in us has grown and will grow even more. We see the connection between what you do, what you rely on, and what will be in the future.
We teach participants to process their traumas and pain. And most important, we teach them how to recover and enjoy life. So people leave us with a toolbox that they can use for themselves in the future and teach it to their children and loved ones. Vyhidye Rehab Center continues its mission providing psychological help and improving mental health of people suffering from the stress of war in Ukraine. And what's most important, it helps people to reclaim fulfilling, joyful life.